And away we go. Hello, welcome to the Big 12 Mafia, Big 12, what am I trying to say, guys?
Big 12 Mafia show.
Thank you. On the College Football Mafia Network. That's what I was trying to say. Couldn't get it out. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. We're trying some different things. So hopefully you guys kind of can settle in on us when we're talking, give us a little more focus. Except for Moen, I know everybody wants to see him, but Ute and I probably know what he wants to see us. So I apologize for that, but we're going to try it for tonight's show and see how it goes. I want to welcome you to the show tonight on Tuesday night. Big news over the weekend. Lots of stuff to cover tonight. And I think it's going to be a fun and exciting show. Quickly, I want to introduce my partners and co-hosts. That would be Moen and Wild Ute. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. Happy Tuesday.
Great. Tuesday. Trying to get used to the view.
Yeah, I know the view's a little bit different. Yeah. I want to thank everybody who's been engaged on Twitter over the last several days. There's been some big, I don't even want to call them news, but there's been stories that have been put out that us three as a team have been really trying to stay on so that we make sure we understand everything that's going on in these stories in the ACC. And that would include all the stuff that's going on with Florida State and maybe where the ACC might grow. So we're going to have some fun and talk about that tonight. I appreciate everybody for being here. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Turn on your notifications on YouTube and Twitter. And let us know how we're doing. Leave us comments and suggestions. Then, of course, give us a thumbs up. That way I know, or we know, you're paying attention and we're doing a good job. Moen, tell everybody about the memberships.
Sure. If you want to become a member or gift a membership or leave us a super chat, any way you want to support the channel, just slide on down to that little cash symbol at the bottom of the chat window. Click on that. That'll have all the options for you. Membership gets you some great benefits. You get custom emojis to use in the chat, including the Mafia whiskey bottle. Yep. You get access to all the Wild Ute universities. I got a new episode of Timeline that's going to drop at some point this week. So you get access to all our videos and a bunch of different great features. So definitely check out becoming a member if you're not. If you want to help support the channel, you can always gift memberships, and that's always appreciated.
And Wild Ute, why don't you, I'm going to bring this up so everybody can see it. Tell everybody what's going on with Wild Ute University and then all the other specials that we're showing.
So Wild Ute University is a data-driven realignment model that shows if a certain school is a good candidate for either the Big 10 or the Big 12. So we've taken a look at many candidates now. But really, we do a deep dive into the data. What does the data say? The data is very revealing. So what you want to do when you watch these videos is apply the data model with your own intuition about like what's the best fit for that school too. And you can get a pretty good place on really where these teams are going to land too. I think it's the best out there as far as really understanding like the future of college football. And things are going to shake out, guys. Things have already shaken out. We're going to get to it a lot tonight with like the whole Utah ACC stuff. Can't wait to get to that. But seriously, yeah, Wild Ute University is just data-driven realignment modeling of the Big 12, what the Big 12 looks for, and see who's the best fit. The next one up, actually, for the Wild Ute U is going to be UConn and Syracuse. It's going to be a duel.
Wow.
Both of them in one episode to see really in the Northeast quadrant, if you want to look at these basketball-esque schools,
right?
Who's a better fit? Who's a better fit? How do they score out? And it's very surprising, actually. Very surprising.
I think a lot of people will be surprised because if you look at the numbers, things don't always go the way our brains think they are going to. And that definitely happens. This Virginia Tech video is gold, by the way. If you're in the Big 12 or in the ACC and you want to know kind of where Virginia Tech fits and all this realignment stuff, that video is fantastic. And then there's more down here. We had one on North Carolina State. We've done a couple on Notre Dame. And then this Louisville one was probably, quality-wise, was one of the best videos we put out. So I want to thank everybody for becoming members and go in there. We're going to encourage everybody to jump in and join us on those videos and let us know how we're doing. I also want to give a tip of the hat, literally, to the Oregon State Beavers. I've been a longtime supporter of Oregon State and Washington State. If you're a Washington State guy, I need a hat. because I would have worn that if I had one. But supporting these schools that are are getting screwed in realignment, have been screwed, and continue to be screwed over. And we're going to jump into that here in just a second. So that's what I did today. If I would have had Washington State, I would have started with that because that's where I grew up. But so this is to support all those Oregon State fans and Washington State fans in the Pac-12, now Pac-2, that are out there just trying to survive. All right, let's get you guys some top of the mind type comments. Let's go with you, Ute. We come through a weekend. A lot of stuff that I don't want to call it news necessarily, stories. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, there is so much this weekend. It was absolutely bananas. ACC, the Utah Utes. We put the kibosh on that. We're going to go over that a lot in this live show, but we put the kibosh on that a couple days ago. Told you why it made 0 sense at the time, and it never made sense. It was never going to happen. It was absolutely bananas. That even came out and everything. So I'm more interested now at the fallout. If there was any real momentum, Dick Weiss, who had initially reported the speculation, he obviously heard that from somewhere.
Exactly. He didn't make it up. That's right.
Right. So I'm very curious about really what kind of back alley communication there was possibly in a reach out attempt with the Utes from the ACC. And we know they've already tried that once, 10 months ago.
Right.
And what that means for the ACC, the Utes putting the kibosh on that. What's the future of the ACC? They tried that lifeline and it's clearly shut down. So what does that mean going forward? What's the fallout of this? That's what I want to discuss.
Awesome. How about you, Moen?
Yes, that is a completely farcical report. And I don't know who his source is. I have a good idea who his source is.
Yeah, I do too.
At the end of the day, I think maybe he might want to send him a basket of shit or something. Because he basically shot himself in the foot and just ended up taking away all his credibility within, a 72-hour period, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go through his experience here in just a second. He is an experienced sports writer, and I don't think he made anything up. I sent a tweet right after I think Ute sent me the original video or article, and I read it. The very first thing that came to mind is this guy is reputable, right? So somebody out there fed him this story, telling him, we really think this is going to happen, and he just ran with it. And I really defend him in that case. What we do is very hard. Who we put on our show, who we trust, is very difficult to sort out. And sometimes you make bad guesses. I've done it a couple times. I'm not sure how everybody else is, but everybody makes mistakes. So I would just ask everybody, just take a beat. I know Moen's a little more up about him than I am, but just, he has a job, right? And we don't want to do anything that is going to affect him. He hasn't done anything to us.
And he said it was speculation, so he kind of protected himself too. He didn't report anything. He just said, hey, this is being chatted about. And it could have been chatted about, right? What's to say the ACC didn't reach out to the Utes? I mean, that seems very plausible. But the fact is,
they can't though.
Squash.
They can't though.
Yeah.
They can do. No, I'm just saying they can third party, but they can't with the school itself.
Right. And if you want to have those conversations, you get the people to have the conversations.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. You're exactly right. Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at all. So I wouldn't the speculation might have been legit as far as communication, but there wasn't reciprocal, right? So the Utes to shut it down, and it's just another blight on the ACC, right?
It really is.
They've had enough bad PR now, and now the Utes clearly just say, hey, we don't want anything to do with this story or anything else. So it's tough, the ACC.
All right, let's get into a couple things here. We're going to do some shout outs and then we'll jump into the stories. Our drinking game tonight is Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Maybe we could put ACC in there, but Georgia Tech and Syracuse are definitely, you hear those words, it's a drinking game. Obviously, don't drink if you're underage, and certainly don't drive after you've been watching our show. If you're on the road right now, you better not be drinking and driving. So
we'll just go. You honestly think there's people underage that watch us, Bummer?
We're pretty old. I know. No, probably not. No. I want to thank everybody for doing. That's just something fun we do, and I hope everybody takes it lighthearted like it is. I don't drink personally, so Do whatever you're going to do on your own. Let's get some shout outs here. We got a bunch of people in early tonight. Let's start with Timothy Green. Says, good evening, Big 12 Mafia. Good evening, Timothy. You are a member. We appreciate it. So is Buckshot Kid. Another member says, oh, hey, at the College Football Mafia. I love these members coming in and saying hi right at the beginning of the show. Makes me feel good, like I'm doing something. Dark Moon, West Virginia fan, says, good evening. Good evening to you, Dark Moon. Jan Holt coming to us from Slovenia. I hope you're doing well, Jan. Are you still recovering? Send me a DM or put a note in the comment section. We'll try to flag it. I want to know how you're feeling after some of the health issues that you've had. Really, really cheering for you. Let's see here. BR, one of our OG subscribers. That would be BR7062. Go Pokes. All right. Let's see here. Bob Swinger says, hello, everyone. Another member. Jay Chapman says, hello from your friendly neighborhood SEC fan. Jay, thank you for helping us. In the house. Mm-hmm. Yes. We need to do more stuff with you. You need to start interacting with us because I do want to start doing some stuff with SEC schools. Adam Ontiveros, got that right? 5-inch hail headed my way. Oh boy. Hey everyone. Gee. Adam, stay undercover wherever you're at, praying for your family. Boy, the weather this year has just been brutal. I donated some money at work today, and I was like, this is dropping the bucket. I don't even know. I just feel so. If you're being affected, you have my prayers, and I hope you're going to continue to do well. Michelle Weintraub says, hey guys. Coy says, hi all. Let's see. Let's cruise through these. So Rock Chalk says, I told people Utah to ACC was nonsense. Good for you, Rock Chalk. You're with us. You're with us because that's what we said. Fatal Jedi 2672. Hi, gents. I really enjoy you guys' show. Entertaining and good information. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Shonsky from the Salt Lake Valley says, hi, everyone. I love the weather today. Summer's finally here. Yeah, it almost got 90 today in Salt Lake.
Nuts.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Tony Lawson, Utah to the ACC is nonsense, but Wisconsin to the MAC is gospel. I love that. That is fantastic, Tony. Thank you. We appreciate you. Jay Chapman again says 34 days till conference reaffiliation day. He's renaming I like that. It's not reconstruction. It's not realignment. It's reaffiliation. Scott Schrader has been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much, Scott. We really appreciate that. Says, hello, Mafia family. GBR. What's that?
GBR is Great Britain. Ground-based radar. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you're helping me out. I didn't know. I knew those two, but I didn't think about them. Big Lubbock, another member, says hello all. West Virginia Earl, hi everyone. Mr. Monkey says the leak was the ACC trying to change the narrative. That's quite possible.
Oh, we got to get that one. Yeah. Keep this one up after the fact because we got to talk about that.
It's flagged. Ed Werner, good to have you here. Wayner, sorry. Hello, gentlemen. In my opinion, the fallout is Big 12 fans and other schools may not trust Utah and may actually want them to go away. What do you think about that blowback, you?
Yeah, there's been some blowback. I saw on X many comments saying, hey, let Utah go.
Which I think is crazy. That's just crazy talk.
And that's making the assumption that Utah wanted to go and pursue the ACC, right? There's just a lot of bad blood still, right, in the Big 12 with the Utes. Makes sense. We all know that, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. But, hey, you know what? Let's make each other stronger. We're all in the Big 12. Utah's not going anywhere. We chose the Big 12. We re-chose the Big 12 right here. So let's just grow this thing. Let's grow the brand. Let's grow every brand in the school, in the conference, and make this thing right.
I completely agree with you as another Big 12 fan. Big 12 is much better with both the Utah and BYU in the conference. Let's see here. Grayson Ganoush says ACC revenue jumped 14.5% or 90 millions to 706. I don't know. Most of the increase is due to full carriage distribution from its cable partners and streaming services like YouTube TV and Hulu. On top of that, Grayson, you have 3 schools that are in the ACC right now that more than likely won't be there in the next several months, maybe a year, which will bring down the value of the conference. So right now, they made a little more than the Big 12. You can't hide that. That's a fact. But in a year, are they going to be making it? That's where we come in.
Hey guys, check it out too. So this comment, I get it. It's true. This is truth here, but like all the TV contracts that were signed over the last few years kick in over the next year or two.
Yes.
So we're talking about apples to oranges with old TV deals compared to the ACC's everlasting crappy TV deal. So while it looks good on paper today, in the next 2 years, that's going to be absolutely crap, especially compared to the Big Ten and the SEC deals. Like it's about we're changing. The world is changing, starting with this football season with the Power 2. And then the Big 12 deal is going to kick in over the next year and a half, 2 years. So those numbers will be materially different down the line.
It'll be interesting.
That's history.
To go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be nice to see it, though. Jay Chapman says he doesn't drink, but I'll take a puff. That's nice, Jay. Dan, that's what Moen's giving you a thumbs up.
That pass.
Daniel Gygax, one of our members, says, Moen, are you saying we are all old? And yes, I did turn 50 this year. So
Pretty much.
I'm the oldest one in the room, but I'm not sure about anybody else. Yeah. Let's see here. Devil Frog, another member. OG says, leave the gun, take the cannoli. Oh, yeah. I like that. Very good. Anytime you do a Mafia reference, we're going to try to get that in. I think we're down to the end here. Let's get a couple more. Almighty Finn, another member, says at Rock Chalk 94. Hopefully KU to the Big Ten. Yeah, we don't have any information on that right now. Steve High Florida says, hey, Bomber, as I type this, it's 8:11 EDT. I've been to an EST, and he's correcting me with Eastern Daylight Time. Nobody even knows.
It's East, okay?
I thought it was East.
Come on, Steve.
Anyway, Steve, give me a hard time. That's all I know. Let's see here. Get down to the end. Are there any others? Here's a new one. B says, please remember to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Great reminder. Thank you, B. Appreciate that. Arnagad says, GBR's Go Big Red. Nebraska thing. Okay. We'll try to remember that. Go Big Red. I love Nebraska in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Loved them. Steve Moser says, Dick Weiss, lol, if you need vague life advice, talk to someone in his or her late 70s. If you need exact details on what's going on currently, don't talk to someone in his or her late 70s. So evidently, I don't know Dick, but he's older. I did some research. I'll run through that in a second. But yeah, that's very good advice. OP Dinon says, I thought GBR was great Baton Rouge. Now we're getting competing ideas of what those shorts are. And last one is Adam all right, Adam will do it twice. Haha, big Lubbock. All right. So Texas Tech got a couple of shout outs. That's all right.
Before we get going, guys, I want to throw a poll question up if that's okay with you, Moen. This one's actually related to the next Wild University realignment video. This was going to be the UConn. You know, there's a lot of chatter about UConn about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Greg brought up the fact that UConn is a Big 12 target still, and that had gone like really, really stale for a long time. The analysis is done on that. We'll present that in the next Wild EU video. But I'm curious, ask the community if they think that UConn is above average or below average as far as Big 12 membership in the model. Just the model data. Is UConn an above average or a below average brand?
Not in comparison to Syracuse or anybody else.
No, just UConn. Okay. Just want to know UConn.
Okay.
What about just average?
Yeah.
He needs like a yes/no kind of. You got that?
I had thought of this too, and I want to hear what the community has to say, just to put our minds together collectively and stuff. And then we'll get into the topics at hand.
All right, no problem. You got that, Moen? Okay.
It's done.
All right, great. So everybody vote. Make sure you get in on that. One last comment from Rock and Rand, a moderator, and one of our contributors says genetics to the ACC. I gotta give clap for that. Let's get a sounder in there. Yes. Very good, Rock and Rant. Very good. Okay, let's get into these tweets. You guys have heard us refer to them, but we haven't actually showed them to you. Let's just start at the beginning. So let me make this bigger so everybody can see it. Dick Weiss is a Hall of Fame sports writer. Okay. And he's been covering sports for about 8,000 years. That's what he tells everybody right here. But what that means, he's got 25,000 followers. So he's somebody that's, done some things out in the world. So when I say everybody, you can disagree with him, but Don't disrespect him. That's what I'm talking about. So, Dick, I've sent you a DM. Get a hold of me, man. Let's talk. I'd love to have you on the show and break some of this stuff down because you've been doing it a lot longer than we have. And this is the tweet that got everybody moving. You can see I was the very first one to reply. Speculation is circulating. This was on the 25th. Today's the 28th, so this was Saturday. Speculation is circulating about potential shifts in college sports conferences. There's a discussion about Utah possibly moving to the ACC despite its recent move to the Big 12, with some suggesting the ACC might be a better fit due to its ESPN network agreement and potential for increased TV value. However, skepticism exists regarding the stability and attractiveness of the ACC compared to the Big 12. So if you're a Big 12 fan and you read that, there's not necessarily anything on there that you should get upset about, is there?
No, there's not too much you should get upset about. I mean, it's speculation right there.
Right.
And it's just a fact that bringing this up. And like Mr. Monkey had a comment saying, hey, it's the ACC trying to change the narrative.
Yeah, let me bring that up again right here. You got it.
That's so dang relevant right here because this isn't being talked about a lot. But like this type of tweet from a respected journalist here, man, like that's really can change the narrative. And for 3 days, it did change the narrative. This was the talk of college football in the offseason. It's like, hey, is Utah going to leave the Big 12 and go to the ACC? Whereas for months and months before, it was about the Big 12 eating up the ACC. And so this was a complete narrative changer. It really was. So that's really, when you're looking at what's the point of this tweet, like I think that is really, whoever gave the information to Dick Weiss was trying to change a narrative.
I agree.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Moen?
I wouldn't go so far as to say it's the ACC trying to change the narrative.
Okay.
But I believe somebody out there gave him bad information.
So can you expand on that without revealing any specific names? Because I'm not 100% following that. Like, who would do that?
You want us to say their names? We've been trying.
No, don't say their names. But like, are we just talking?
Why
about,
would they do that?
Because
is that what you want to know? Why they would do that?
Because they've been wrong on everything else.
Yeah.
They've been wrong on everything else.
Because they want to have somebody who's respected report something that they said.
Right.
It's an ego booster.
Well, and I think there's something to the fact that you have people out there that really lost a ton of gravitas in the last year and a half from the Pac-12 and what happened to it. We're not going to name individual peoples. We've decided we are not going to do that. I do read super chats with names, though, just so everybody knows. So if you have a name and you want me to read it, I read all my super chats. But all kidding aside, I do believe that some people lost a lot of personal. The best word I can think of is gravitas. How people, when they look at them, they assume they're good at things. They assume they're smart and they're intelligent when they're speaking about topics. And they lost a ton of credibility when the Pac-12 finally just went poof. And they've been searching for months and months and months for a new narrative, specifically a new narrative to hitch their wagon to, and they're running out of ideas. This one is literally a shot in the pitch dark.
So Dick Weiss, do you guys know he is a New York guy, right?
He is, yep. Well, 8,000 years, he said.
8,000 years of basketball reporting. So we're talking about East Coast, New York, Northeast guy.
Right.
Like, how sure are we that this wasn't coming out of an ACC camp? Like, I'm thinking that's coming out of an ACC camp.
I'm not
100% on anything.
I'm not 100% either. That's not if it's coming across that way, I'm not communicating well. I think there are people out there that are running out of narratives to spin. The Power 2 breakaway, that's gone poof, right? They're running out of opportunities to show they're the men. And I mean this literally. They're men. I haven't seen a woman that's spoken on any of this stuff. Maybe if they did, we'd be in a better position now. But the bottom line is we're running out of ideas for realignment. And right now it's the ACC or the Big 12. And who is the one swing vote that everybody knew did not want to move anywhere from the Pac-12?
Utah and ASU.
Utah. Well,
ASU too.
ASU did too, but they weren't near as good at it as Utah was.
Not yeah.
Utah was much better. Mark Harlan,
Mm.
all those tweets and everything. Utah had it down. So if you're sitting in a house in Florida, and here you've made all these guesses over the last 2 years where none of them were right, and you were known for your insider knowledge, and you're running out of ideas, your whiteboard is getting smaller and smaller. What other narratives could there be? I absolutely put it could just be on a couple of YOLO guys. That would not surprise me.
Well, that's fascinating. It did change the narrative for 3 days. Right?
It did, absolutely.
They're in the Big 12. Obviously, it caused
Yep.
some internal battling within the Big 12. But hey, guess what? It seems like the Big 12 is going to be stronger after this.
I
So
agree.
if that was the objective and everything, it seems like it's strengthened now, and like there's a double down effort to go eat up the ACC
Yes.
and to take out Louisville, take out NC State, Pitt, and Virginia Tech. Those are Big 12 schools in waiting. They are.
So-
and it's time to go after those guys soon.
Let me read this. The second part of this is today, Utah Athletics, and you can read this. Utah Athletics put out an official statement. Go ahead, you can read that.
All right, Utah Athletics here. So, statement from Utah Athletics regarding rumors of Utah and ACC. Quote, "We are proud to be entered into membership into the Big 12 Conference in the coming months and excited to join our new colleagues and member institutions. A report over the weekend that suggested otherwise is completely fabricated, and irresponsible. Highly irresponsible." End quote. From Brett McMurphy.
Very.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's fake. It's fake. Well, the Utes camp saying it's fake, right? Fake and made up, of course. So,
Now,
what do you expect the Ute camp to say?
Let me ask a question, since I'm still a third party in this discussion. What's the thought that Brett Yormark sent Harlan a tweet or a text and said, "Hey, can you shoot this down right now?"
I wouldn't be surprised if Brett Yormark's in Salt Lake City today.
Yeah,
Serious. Like you see something like this, he doesn't mess around with that. He'd be on
he
flight,
doesn't.
getting in front of somebody and figuring out what the heck's going on here.
Yeah,
So I think
agree.
that Brett Yormark was all over this garbage, right? And just to try to, regulate this, just to get the communication narrative right. Like that's the kind of leader he is and stuff. And obviously it was cleaned up quick. I mean, that's definitive, that statement right there.
Yep.
Utah is not going to the ACC, and they were never going to the ACC, 100%. Right there.
We got a super chat. I grabbed the wrong one. Lonnie Johansson, $5 super chat. Let's give you some claps and a kick out there, Moen. People dress, throw stuff on the wall. Good afternoon from Northeast Kansas and go BYU and UAU and the Big 12. So people dress, throw stuff on the wall. That's
I think it's supposed to be just.
Okay. Good afternoon from Northeast Kansas. Thank you very much, Lonnie. We really appreciate the super chat. Those help us keep the lights on. We're not getting rich over here, so we always appreciate when those come in. All right.
Can we make a deal right now for all Big 12, the whole Big 12 land, okay? The notion of going to any other conference but the Big 10 or the SEC, totally understand. If you get an invite to one of those two conferences, you got to take it for the money, for everything else. But can we just say that there's no likelihood or probability that a Big 12 team will ever move to a non-P2 conference? You can just squash that completely. The ACC is not plucking any Big 12 team down the line. No other conference is going to pluck a Big 12 team down the line. The Big 12 is the third super conference, really. There's going to be an A3. It's happening. It's in transition right now. And really, I get it. Like, if anyone gets a P2 invite, you go, you wish them well and stuff. But the garbage of saying that a Big 12 team is going to jump to the ACC is just completely fabricated and false. There's just no point of it. The financials don't work. The travel doesn't work. The instability. There's so many reasons that doesn't make sense. So let's just squash that narrative. Squash it forever.
I'm okay with that.
What do you guys think about that?
I'm all right with it. I was all right with it before this. But I will say this. There are a few Twitter guys that you know and I know that are Utah fans that immediately jumped on it.
You guys get trolled too much by Utah.
No. These guys were serious. They were taking quotes. They were building a fight. I am dead serious. Anyway, you might think they're a joke and trolling. The rest of the world took it as real. I'm just saying, it didn't build itself. It came out of this other energy. David Floyd said the ACC is desperate.
Yeah, it stinks. It reeks of desperation, really. And like, this was a big move too. This was a pendulum swing, right? Like, it was you know what? Actually, the biggest move of all was getting the four corners into the Big 12, right? When the ACC wanted them last year, the fact that the Big 12 landed every single one of them was the move, the domino that finished the ACC at the end of the day. Really, it was. That's what we're going to look back and see, that domino. So the ACC is desperate now. I think they're trying to spin narratives too. You might see other narratives that kind of form and stuff. They're probably going to get squashed in a couple days like this. The Big 12 is going to strengthen. And you know what, guys? I was on the other side of this with the Pac-12. There's just so much momentum that builds on top of you. There's so much momentum. You get crushed on the other side. If you're an ACC fan right now, it totally sucks. And the narrative's all going against you. You feel so much pressure and you're so desperate. There's nothing else you can do but spin false narratives. It is what it is. Like, it's just the state of the conference right now.
Let's get to some more comments. John Peterson says, I'm guessing the source was an SMU Godzillionaire trying to salvage his big bet. Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
Godzillionaire. Syracuse to that.
Justin R., USF fan, says, I disagree with this. The three East Big 12 teams could make a jump. If the money brings in the same as the Big 12, then why not? Can I answer this? Wait, let me answer it. You. The reason is because the money is the same today. It's not once Clemson and Florida State leaves. Hands down, it'll be like 10 million different per school, the difference. So all things were equal maybe a year ago, and you could have brought another couple schools into the ACC. You could have argued last summer the ACC should have done a huge expansion and brought in everybody on the East Coast that they want, all the ones that you're thinking of. They could have done that, but they didn't. And now there's no way to make up that difference. Go ahead.
What does the ACC have to offer? Say that Utah, ASU, and U of A were reconsidering and thinking about going back to the ACC. Like, what does the ACC truly have to offer? Like you said, Bomber, you nailed it. It's not money. Clemson and Florida State are getting out of the conference. What's the ACC going to like get a bunch of exit fee money and give that money to Utah as a signing bonus, to Arizona's signing bonus? How's Stanford and Cal going to feel about that if you pull that kind of stuff and give full shares and signing bonuses to Utah and ASU, former Pac-12 peers? And like all of a sudden you've got Cal and Stanford in a conference. That just doesn't even logistically work at all. So really the one thing I will grant this, the ACC is culturally aligned with those three schools right there. Utah is AAU. They care about research. There's a lot of schools in the ACC that align with old Pac schools. And so there is more academic and type of cultural alignment with that. But it's not to say that Utah is a bad cultural fit for the Big 12. The other issues are the finances, the geography, the lack of matchups, and all the other million issues don't outweigh that, though. It's like a clear no for the ACC getting those schools down the line. I turned down once, and now I think it's second turn down, basically, with this most recent Utah information.
Moen, you want to add anything to that?
No, pretty good.
Okay. Doc Gibbs has chimed in tonight. Good to see you, Doc. Glad you're here. Also a member. Says, you guys need your narratives ready when in 2025 ACC still around and FSU has not left. Well, let's be clear. In 2025, they may still be in the ACC, but that doesn't mean they're going to be. They're going to get out. That's what we're saying. It might not be 25. It might be 26. We don't know the year, but we're saying it leaves. But go ahead, Doc. You've been around long enough. We have the videos. It won't be hard to track us down. We're not going to run anywhere. If we're wrong at the end of the day, you say you're wrong and move on. I'm not going to worry about it. You guys want to add anything to that?
That's just the certainty, though. Like, that's when you're making long-term decisions, you want to feel certain about situations. Right now, the ACC, in all reality, is very, very uncertain. You've got two members suing the conference right now, two of your biggest brands suing the conference. They won out. They've clearly made it known they won out. Like, who would make a good long-term decision by wanting to step into that situation? Like, it's just not very good strategic planning. Honestly, when you look at it that way too. So FSU might be in the conference like next year, but like they're going to get out over the next few years. They're not going to be shackled in until 2036. And when you're making a decision like the Utes on conference affiliation, you want to do a 50-year decision there, not a 2-year decision, because it's like costly, right? And like it's cultural change for your university. There's so much stuff that goes in with that. Like the move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 has been enormous. And so it's huge. It's a huge move. So you need to make these long-term decisions and good ones.
Moen?
Yeah, I mean, and let's be very clear. It's only Clemson and Florida State right now.
Yes.
Once those two schools get out or are on the verge of getting out, other people are going to want to leave. And that includes North Carolina. That includes Miami. That includes North Carolina State, probably, as part of the Wolfpack backpack. So, I mean, there's other desires within the ACC. The SEC is going to push for North Carolina, probably Virginia. So, I mean, you can't count on all these schools still being in the ACC. But if I'm wrong, hey, I'll admit I'm wrong.
Right. That's what we're doing here.
If I'm wrong, I'll drink. I'll have a drink.
I was just going to say, don't drink anything bad. So Greg Flugar, obviously friend of the show, the OG of realignment coverage on social media, evidently on his show this afternoon, Dan Miter's bringing this up, says Greg said it was an Oregon State fan that leaked the Utah gossip. If that's the case, then there's really something wrong with Dick. If his source is somebody from Oregon State, then maybe he needs to retire. That would shock me. But Greg has more sources than I do. Greg may be right. I'd find that hard to believe.
Oregon State fan, just like some X account or something.
Well, and how does he convince a historically great journalist to repeat any of the rumor? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Moen, you want anything to that?
Yeah, probably had a blue check mark. That's why you got to get rid of paid for blue check marks.
All right, there you go.
What's the cost now? Is it $14 for blue check mark?
I can't remember. It was too much. That's all I know. Let's see. Let's get to some more comments here. Illini Ted, good to see you, Illini Ted, says the only way I could see Utah to the ACC having legs would be if the ACC could make certain guarantees to them, which they can't do at this point. Look, anything's negotiable. Anything's negotiable.
All right. I want to speak up one more thing. Okay, I'm a season ticket
go ahead.
holder for the Utah Utes, guys. I'm a season ticket holder. I will always be. And just to think about Wake Forest coming over to the Bryce Eccles Stadium gives me no excitement at all. There's no juice there. NC State, there's no juice there at the moment and everything. And all these historical ACC schools, Utah's never even played them. And most of the Big 12 doesn't play them very often. Like these three schools that are considering the speculation moving over and everything. So I don't know. Like this thing is just so much bigger than on the surface level. Like, do the season ticket holders want to go to these games if there's just no historical matchups? As a season ticket holder, I would say no way. I want to play BYU. I want to play Colorado. I want to be the snot out of ASU. I know these schools. They're in my region, right? I don't want to go cross country and grab said school, Boston College, come to Rice Eccles. That's not going to get the fan base excited. Florida State ain't coming to town. They're leaving.
Well, I can't speak for the Utah fan base. I'll let you do that. So, but yeah, I'm more excited to see Utah play Big 12 matchups than I would be seeing play ACC matchups, because Utah has become the ultimate villain in the Big 12. So, every team they play this year has got that date circled on their calendar. Should be fun.
I want to get to a comment here from Doc. By the way, let me just quickly run through how we do the comments. If you're a member, we always get a preferred stance on those. We try to get to member comments first. Obviously, you're welcome to use a comment. Anybody can comment. We just might not read it. And if you want to make sure we read it, you can make it a super chat. Moen explain that. Hit that little cash button down by the comment bar, and you're good to go. Let's see here. So Doc Gibbs. So Doc, I'm going to catch you up a little bit. So when Ute and I started this channel last April, so a year ago April, we were talking nothing but Washington State, Oregon State, Pac-12, Utah. We did that for 7 months. Even after they got shafted, we did it into September, even October, thinking something with the Big 12 may happen. So I appreciate your comment here. We need to, sort of explain those. Well, we've already done that, so we sort of take it for granted. I would refer you back to any video in August or July that we did, and it'll have Washington State and Oregon State in it. Go ahead, you.
Yes, as simple as valuations. And that's unfortunate for the Beavers and the Cougars, but like the valuations didn't come in as high as the other schools. That's why they didn't get a Big 12 invite. That's why they're in the Pac-2 right now. It's just as a fact of the matter, realignment comes down to your valuation. How much a media company values you, and if you culturally align with that school in that conference, the conference right there. So that's really what's all about. How do you boost your valuation? That's a great question. Viewership. TV viewership. That's all that really matters. That's what media companies care about. And this is what's driving the bus, guys, is media revenue. So if you want to increase your value, get on TV more, put a better product out there, and build a brand. That's just how it works. So Oregon State and Wazoo, unfortunately, just didn't have a big enough brand, a big enough valuation to get into the Big 12. We said that before many, many months ago, and it's still relevant today.
Moen?
Yeah, getting back to the point about backpacks, why they didn't have a backpacks, it comes down to the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Right.
And guess what? Oregon has Nike, and Washington has Microsoft, and these huge mega donors to politicians. So that's why there was no backpack, because of lobbyists and these huge mega donors to these schools that basically forced them to be let out of the backpack rule.
And the state's politics is completely different too. North Carolina's the politics in the state is, you couldn't be more different than what you get in Washington and Oregon, which are very, very, very liberal states that don't really do much for the smaller things. That's the Oregon states and the Washington states. They get screwed and have since I was a kid. So anyway, I appreciate
they put up a fight in Oregon and Washington too, like the local politics divide, but like it was too late, right? Like the contract, like there wasn't a contract there for the Pac-12. There just was nothing there to really hang the hat on. Like I'm telling you guys, I've told you guys a million times, the same thing is going to happen in North Carolina. I'll tell you again, North Carolina, what's going to happen is Florida State and Clemson are going to leave the conference. It's going to be burning to the ground. They're going to get super desperate, and UNC is finally going to get unleashed to go to the SEC. I've said that all along. Once the pressure builds, once the finances become a reality on a restructured ESPN deal, that's going to happen in North Carolina. NC State's not going to go along to the SEC. They're going to the Big 12. They're a Big 12 school. They're a Big 12 brand. They align with Big 12 schools. As far as evaluation-wise, they're a Big 12 school. They're not an SEC school. And UNC is just not a big enough brand to bring them both along. It's simple, like finances at the end of the day. I'm telling you, remember right here, I've been saying it all along. No one else is saying it. When it happens, when UNC goes to the SEC after all crap hits the fan, that's exactly, just remember that. Just remember it was said right here, right now. And I'll keep saying it until it happens. It's going to come down to money. I don't care about the politics. That's all great and stuff. When the money dries up, it's moot point. They're going to follow the money, and they're going to get into the SEC. UNC will.
Moen?
Wolfpack backpack.
That deserves a Syracuse and a Georgia Tech, I think. Syracuse, Georgia Tech. We'll find out. All I know is that we got a front row seat, and I'm loving every minute of it. Every minute of it. And this is all because of you watching us right now. We're doing it for you guys. Get involved. Consider joining us as a member. Get to those videos, the special videos that are locked up. And I guarantee the value you would get immediately once you watch just one of them. Antoine Coates has been a member now for 4 months. Thank you, Antoine. AC had their chance. Oh, ACC.
That was legit.
Go ahead, Mon.
Yeah, it was. Huh?
I didn't know you could stop it in the middle. That's cool.
Yeah, I can hit pause.
Oh, okay. ACC had their chance. They missed it. I would have to agree with that. I think there was a time when they wouldn't put their guns down. Klavkov wouldn't humble himself. Phillips wouldn't humble himself. They could have put something pretty good together, even without Washington and Oregon. And they chose not to. So I don't know. If I was you, I'd still be pissed at them. Expedition
I'm still
Greg.
pissed, but I'm happier to be in the Big 12. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm happier to be in the Big 12 in this iteration than a USC and UCLA-less Pac-12.
Right.
I really am. Like I'm happy where we're at. So like if the deal got done for the Pac-12 for the next 5 years, it was still going to be on life support. Oregon and Washington were still going to be going to the Big Ten eventually.
Yes.
It was just inevitable. They're going to chase that. So it just got us sooner to where we're going to go anyway. So I'm okay with it.
I think it's great. I think the whole conference is going to benefit for sure. Expedition Greg is a new member, Moen.
Hey.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
All right. Moen, how does he become a member? How'd that work?
He went down to the little cash icon in chat and he clicked become a member.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. Thank you so much, Expedition Greg, for joining us. You've been around for a lot longer than just this 1 month, and we really, really appreciate it. Make sure after the show's over, go watch some of those videos that are member only. I guarantee you they're worth your time. Working back here.
Hey, one more thing, okay?
Yeah,
one more thing
ahead.
with thank you, Expedition Greg. Hey, members, seriously, like we're working on some stuff that like is just quality goldmine content here. We're working on some really more in-depth viewership stuff. If you care about college football news, realignment, like making this thing and being the most knowledgeable person out there, like the stuff that we're going to be putting through is phenomenal. I'm so excited to do it. We're bringing some really smart folks on to really figure this out, to make it entertaining and give it to you so you are the smartest guy in the room. That's what we're trying to do there, guys.
And it's getting better and better and better. That's what we need to understand is we're not sitting still. We're improving. We're doing more things just for you guys by your ideas and everything else. I'm going to put that ticker down there just so everybody can see it. As we work through these comments now, I'm going to work backwards. So if I read a comment that seems a little out of context, we'll catch you up. This one from Devil Frog is a response to a message I saw just a little bit ago. It says, Dan, that sounds about right. Many Oregon State fans are unhinged. They can't figure out if they want to slam or join the Big 12. That is something I have noticed, is that Oregon State fans at the same time want to rail at the Big 12 while trying to kiss up to the Big 12. I don't know another way to put it. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, Moan.
I don't think you can paint an entire fan base, but yeah. I think Oregon State's obviously they're upset, they're left out.
Right.
And what do you? That's not necessarily unhinged. That's, they're dealing with grief. I don't know what stage they're on now. It's not acceptance yet, so maybe it's bargaining.
Yeah, bargaining sounds right because they're going back and forth between the two. All I know is that Ute and I, from the beginning, have been fans. So don't come to us and say we haven't done our part, because I think we've done more than most anybody else, except for maybe John Canzano. So don't come to us and say we're not working on that, because we are. Lonnie Johansson, members, another comment for $5 super chat says, "Hey, you, who was the members of the PCC before the Pac-12?"
The Pacific Coast Conference.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was USC, UCLA, Washington, like Oregon, and then there was some like really
Idaho,
random
I
school
think.
like Idaho. Yeah,
Idaho is in
Idaho.
there. Yeah,
there was like a hodgepodge of different schools, kind of in the old
Yeah.
PCC. Some of them got kicked out, like, and then it formed the new the Pac-10.
It went Pac-8,
Yeah.
and then you got the
Pac-8.
Arizona schools. Then you
Yeah, Idaho was in that one. Yeah.
Idaho. Yeah, I think it was Idaho or Idaho State, one or the other. Yeah, they didn't last very long. Thank you for the super chat, Lonnie. Say that again, you.
They got realigned.
They
Idaho's
did get
realigned.
That is absolutely true.
He didn't get. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
He's got to get his sounder.
Oh!
I love Greg's sounder. That's fantastic. Peek around the corner. Greg Flugar supplied that for Moen on one of his shows.
Unintentionally, but he's
unintentionally. Justin R says the Big 12 should be a 18-team league, one division featuring 9 former Pac-12 schools, and the other division featuring Southwest Conference Big 12 legacy members. I will tell you this, Justin, there were concerns in Dallas at the offices that if they brought in 2 more Pac-12 schools, the voting bloc would be extremely against them the next time that they all got to vote. So I know that was one of the things they were looking at. I'm not saying it was the only one that made the decision, but I do know right now it's basically 50-50, the old and the 4 new with the Pac-4 schools. So you had 2 more, and now all of a sudden their voting block is 10, and you've got 8. So you guys want to add to that at all?
No.
Okay. Another super chat from Chris. Chris says, thank you for the super chat, Chris. If the ACC goes bust, then Pitt to the Big 12.
Yeah. That's going to be an awesome day. I cannot wait for that day to come. Pitt coming to the Big 12 after all the stuff from their fan base, the pushback and everything. Okay, this really amuses me, but the Pitt fans were dancing all around with this Utah to the ACC article.
Yeah, they were.
Saying, oh, hey, Utah wants to go to the ACC. What do their faces look like now? Utah didn't want to go to the ACC. We're going to gobble you up, Pitt. We're going to totally gobble you up. You're coming to the Big 12. Kicking and screaming. Don't care. You're coming in because we need you for the backyard brawl. That's it. We need you for the backyard brawl. So just being real about it.
You want to add anything to that, Moan? I'm sure.
Winner.
You're a winner. Thank you very much, Chris. We
Thanks,
really
Chris.
appreciate the super chat. I want to get to a couple more comments there that came, and I'm just going to take the stage since I'm in charge. This is a reply on Twitter from Illegal Rib Dealer. I love the name. I don't think you're probably watching the show tonight, but I loved your tweet. I posted something about how Washington State and Oregon State were perfect fits for the ACC, and he says nothing says Atlantic Coast quite like the Pacific Northwest. That's funny stuff. I couldn't help. That's pretty funny. All right, let's get to some more comments here. Oh wait, was there another story? I'm trying to remember if there was one more story we wanted to cover.
If you want to pull up ACC conspiracy theory story.
Oh well, yeah, let's get to that. This one, yeah, okay.
Save this one.
Yeah, we saved this one for the last. Let me bring it up.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't reporting, y'all. This is just conspiracy theory, okay? This is just for the simple sake of enjoying the other perspective, okay?
All right, so I'm posting the link so everybody has access to it. Let me bring it up. So this popped up today. I do believe the original article came out yesterday, but the timing couldn't have been worse. This was after Utah had put out their press release saying they're not going anywhere and they haven't talked to anybody. The title is more ACC expansion on the way? And then it basically word for word rips off the article that David talked about 3 days before. Almost word for word. And so I'm just curious, how does that work? You just take articles, put them on your own webpage, and it's your?
You know what's interesting about this, okay? So like the original thought was that Oregon State, San Diego State, we're going to go along with Utah, right?
Right.
Like, where's that chatter now about Oregon State and San Diego State going over the ACC?
Well, it's here. It's here. You just can't see it because of the framing. Utah's the number 1. They give the description where Oregon State is number 2. But it's San Diego State that is 3, not Washington State. And 4 is South Florida.
South Florida.
Yeah.
Well, South Florida makes sense once Miami and Florida State leave conference, but I wouldn't say they're going to be an ad until that happens.
Right. I would agree with that.
But yeah, that's the funny thing is like that's just honestly kind of an odd quartet right there. Utah, Oregon State, San Diego State, and USF. Like, isn't that a bit odd, guys?
I think it was extremely off the wall. That's why I posted it for you so you guys could read it.
Man.
Rock and Rant gives us a $5 super chat. Rant, you're already giving us your time. You don't have to give us your money. He says Utah to the ACC is realignment porn for those that never saw a girl. Let's see. I never had Utah joining Miami on my college football villain bingo card. Embrace the hate, Ute. I did see an article that it was written by it was a Utah booster or Utah show, right? They put something together and said Utah and Miami, the U's meet somewhere in the middle or something like that. Because you both.
You know how many times Utah's played Miami in football?
How many?
0.
Well, BYU's only played them a couple times, so.
I want to play Miami. Miami's a phenomenal brand, but
for sure.
We'd have to really create a lot of juice there, Rock and Rant.
We'd have to work
Up
on
to
it. Thanks for the super chat, Rock. Do you want to give him a sounder there, Moan?
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't need your money, but it certainly helps. Let's give him a little clap.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get to the poll results, Moen.
Yeah, as far as UConn goes, thank you, Jan Hulk, for reminding me because I always forget. Just average, below average, we're within 2 percentage points of each other.
Oh, wow.
Just
Okay.
average at 38, below average at 36, above average at 24.
24% above average and 38% average.
Yeah,
So what
just
does that
average is
tell
at
you?
38, below average 36, above average.
That tells me that the thinking of the community, and our community is extremely intelligent here, like in the
Right.
talk about realignment stuff, so we all kind of know what's going on, that most folks think that UConn probably isn't the best ad. And that is important information right there. So thank you for the poll results there. That's fascinating. Look for that Wild EU episode to come out because it's pretty revealing. I think that's going to be a little bit of shocker, like some of these have been.
Do we have a time for when that video is? That next week? You said.
Yeah. So Moan's going to put timeline out this
Okay.
week, and so the Wild EU will be the next one up. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Looking forward to it. Again, if you're a member, you have access to those videos. If you're not, sorry. That's what we do. That's the intellectual property we give to the members. And we really appreciate them being members. So that's how we share those stories. There's another super chat from Lonnie Johansson, $2, says Big 8, the original Big 8 was Colorado, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas State, KU, and ISU. Just so everybody knows who the
It was
original.
a pretty good pair, right? It was a
I
good
liked
group of
the
teams.
Big 8 football was very good, and Southwest Conference football was good too. Yeah. Thanks for the super chat though, Lonnie. Appreciate it. Doc Gibbs again says history is revealing UNC and NCSU were founding members of the old Southern Conference, granddad of the ACC and SEC. That's a long time to play in a football power conference and through realignment be shafted. Well, you could say the same thing for Washington State and Oregon State. Over 50 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the Pac-12 rupture, right? I mean, that's case in point right there. The media companies don't care about the history of college football. They care about eyeballs, and I guess the rivalries kind of factor into that a bit, but like it's the media companies' revenues are driving that, and they're calling the shots, and so they just don't care about the tradition like we do. But we need to acknowledge that that's a fact and kind of understand that's the landscape, and it's not changing. And guys, if private equity or private loans or whatever you want to call private, whatever, if they get involved in this sucker, it's going to get way worse. Like I'm telling you guys, like it will be more money controlled than it is now, and it's significantly money controlled now. It's going to be everything about turning a profit and maximizing revenue. It's going to be crazy. That's what private money does, private capital does. And so this is not changing. It's going more that way.
Mo, when you want anything to that?
Yeah, you want to add in the media companies. This is poor leadership by the PAC also led to their demise.
Right.
You're going to see in that timeline video at the end of it, PAC 16 is doing very, very well for itself. But Scott didn't.
Yeah.
He had that opportunity and he couldn't close the deal. So
I really appreciate having that sort of feeling in what we're covering, because it does matter. If you can't just talk about today, history drives all these decisions now. The final dollars and cents might be about numbers today, and everything else goes behind that. So I think that's really, really important, Moan. Thank you for saying that. Really quick, before we get on to our next comment, we're top of the hour. I want to thank everybody for being here. We got 130 people watching us live. Everybody, make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Turn on those notifications so you know when our show's around. And last but not least, try to become a member of the College Football Mafia channel. And this is the Big 12 Mafia show. All right, let's get to some more stuff here. Shonsky says, you guys on Heartland Sports, they talked about the Longhorn Network having to pay the Big 12 schools upwards of 500 million. If you don't know anything about this, you can check into it. I hadn't heard that. Had you guys?
Yeah, I'm not aware.
Shonsky, I tell you what, send me a DM, Shonsky, with the link. I would love to find it. If you don't have the link, I can do some poking and prodding. Moen, you haven't heard of that, have you?
No, I think if it was $500 million that the Big 12 was making,
we'd know about it.
We'd have heard about it during
the
settlement with Oklahoma and Texas to leave early.
That absolutely true. Connor Johnson, one of our Oregon State. You see I'm wearing your hat, Connor? Eyeballs. Oregon State was 20th in total viewing in football last year, better than Clemson. Nobody said nobody's watching Oregon State. At least I didn't say that. What does that stand out to you guys?
Pac-12 was really good last year.
They were.
Oregon State was a feature team with DJU, with the roster they had coming back with Martinez. I think that you need to look at not just a 1-year sample size and look at more of a long-term sample size. If you look at an 8-year sample size, it tells a little bit different story about the Beavs, but the Beavs were down for a long time, until Jonathan Smith really got that program going. So, yeah, they had a good year last year viewership-wise, over 1 million a game. We're watching Beav games, and largely from a couple big-time games. But over the course of the last 7-8 years, it was considerably lower.
Moen, you want to add anything to that?
No, Clemson had a bad year. The Pac-12 had a great year. So It's hard to just look at 1 year and say 1 year determines all the data. You've got to go back and look at years and years past. And there's been times when the Pac-12 has been really, in the last 2 decades, been really down. Haven't had that powerhouse team coming out of there.
Yeah, since Pete Carroll left, the state Pac-12 just didn't break through. Let's see here. We got more comments. Cougar Tracks. Good to have you here, Cougar Tracks. Appreciate you being a member. Says, I read that the Big 12 keeps the rights to the Longhorn Network. Do they? I don't know. That's news to me. Connor,
Not sure.
Sorry, Cougar. Sorry.
I think that Texas signed over the rights to the new SEC deal. So there's nothing really going to be distributed on Longhorn Network anymore. I think that it is eliminated after Texas officially leaves to the SEC. So the Big 12 might keep the rights, but there won't be any games on it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it? You might own them, but who's gonna watch replays of football games 3 years ago, right?
But I guess there's a chance that you could start your own network if you wanted to, with the
Longhorn Network.
The Longhorn Network. Yeah, the Big 12 network possibly.
Right.
If you maybe do it.
Somebody do some research on that. That's a great question. We're on a live show, so we can't do it this second. But if somebody wants to look that up, that's a great point from Cougar Tracks. Does the Big 12 retain the rights to the Longhorn Network, and is there a way the Big 12 can leverage the Longhorn Network to cover the Big 12?
According to Justin, Longhorn Network will become another SEC channel come July 1st. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that. We'll just have to see, I guess. It's not my ballywick, so I don't know. Thank you guys for those comments. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. I got off my tab, so I lost the ones I was focused on. Here we go. Here's a follow-up question from a story that broke last week. Cougar Track says, how are teams going to come up with $20 million a year for athletics?
They're going to cut expenses.
That's one way.
They're going to bank on getting more media rights revenue from the new contract, which they will. And then the difference is going to come by eliminating expenses. It's an expense issue out there with athletic departments. The spending's out of control because it was an arms race for a long time. Now a lot of that money is going to the players. So expenses are going to need to be cut with facilities, with the crazy stuff that you see in facilities, like all type of salad bars and Jamba juices inside. But really, that's where it's going to be. It's just going to be cutting expenses and getting a little bit boost from new media rights revenues. But it's not like your ticket sales are going to skyrocket up. So really, that's where it's going to come mostly on the expense reduction side, and that's going to include the elimination of sports.
Moen?
Well, it depends on what your team is. Ohio State's not going to have any problem raising that kind of money. The other teams are going to have that problem, and that's probably where private equity is going to start rearing its ugly head. If you want to compete, you might have to take out some short-term loans. It's It's going to be very much like the NFL and the draft policy, where, the Rams spent all that draft capital to win a Super Bowl, and now they got to spend 10 to 12 years in the dumps. So,
But you won a Super Bowl.
but you won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You might have to take out a private equity loan to make the playoffs,
But you win the Super Bowl.
But you make it to the playoffs, but you might not be going back there for the next 8 to 12 years.
Interesting. Yeah.
But you won a Super Bowl.
But you won a Super. Well,
they can't take those away from you. I've tried, and it doesn't work.
How much money would Utah need to raise to win a national championship, Moan?
$100 million.
So private equity, private loan, raise $100 million to win a national championship.
Yeah, you need.
So if you don't get that national championship, you're paying that back over the next decade.
Right, and I'm saying that for Utah. I'm not saying that that's a number for anybody to win a national championship. I just think it's harder to recruit kids to come play in Utah. I think you might have to pay them a little more to come play at the higher elevation.
Let's see here. I just had one and it went away. What the heck? All right, oh, here it is. Timothy Green. I think Syracuse and Georgia Tech would be good for the Big 12.
It's got to be organic, guys.
That's organic? I just read it. If I read it, it's organic. All right. David Floyd says there are more than a few schools in the new Big 12 who can't afford the $20 million. My guess they are UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, KSU, and ISU. I would just make sure everybody's clear. BYU is not going to have any trouble getting whatever money they need with the all the gloves off for people getting money, pay to play. BYU has plenty of donors that'll get them over that. So, but I don't know about these others.
UCF and Cincinnati, I think would surprise you. I think that they probably could get to that 20 million benchmark.
I think every single Big 12 team is going to have the 20 million. I think all these teams will. I think that's just going to be a rite of entry. If you're going to be playing in the Big 12, you need a pony up for the money. And I think they could do it too with the new media rights coming in, or rights contract coming in. I think that's every Big 12 school is going to sign on board for this sucker.
I would agree with that. Yeah, they'll declare bankruptcy and get out from underneath the debt before they'd say they couldn't play big boy football. So I agree with you. I think that's right. Illini Ted says the fan base wants a mascot. So far, the boosters say no, but it will probably happen at some point. And Otters is one that keeps popping up.
We need more giant rodents. That's one reason we should add Oregon State, so we can have the Beavers, the Gophers, the Otters, the Badgers, the Wolverines.
Oh my!
Literally every weasel in the weasel family we can put on.
Grayson Ganoush, love the name. Big 12 would have to get new contracts with cable companies than individual states, in addition to building the network's infrastructure. If it wants to create its own viable conference network channel, they're not going to do that. Big 12 is not going to build a channel. They're going to take the money and invest it in their football programs. That's what they're going to do. So, Mo, do you disagree with that?
They're not going to do it this time, but by the time the next deal rolls around, I think you will see a Big 12 network.
Okay. Well, write it on the wall and stick it up there. Moen says it's coming. Steve High Florida says Cincinnati won't have a problem coming up with $20 million. Check out the new athletics building being built on campus. Just to be clear, we're not questioning any schools. We were answering a comment. So I agree with you. I think the Big 12 is going to be fine. If you want to talk about conferences, let's talk about the ACC once Florida State and Clemson leave.
Right? Mm-hmm. Is Boston College going to be able to fund that? Once Florida State and Clemson leave.
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
It's going to be extremely difficult. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to stick to it.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, right. It's true. Yeah, they're in the same boat. Mr. Monkey says the Pac had to make numerous big mistakes in a row to collapse, and they made every one of those mistakes.
They did.
Yes, they did.
There was one mistake that cost the Pac-12, and that was losing USC. There was like a million small mistakes, but the big domino to fall was losing USC. It was over. It was over in the short term, medium term, long term. You can't lose that brand and remain viable. That was the mistake, is losing USC. Because if USC stays in, you're getting a TV deal and everything else. Losing USC is everything. Everything. So that's the major mistake from Scott and Kliavkoff, is losing USC.
Moen, you want to add anything to that?
I will say that not closing the deal to add Texas and Oklahoma was the biggest mistake they made. If they had brought those brands on board, there would still be a Pac-16 today, and they would have made barrels of money over their model for the Pac-12 network.
Going to bring up something here, Kay. So, like, just to push back on that a little bit, Mo, and you might be right about it, first off, but like one factor that led to the Pac-12's demise was the decreased viewership in the West Coast of football, right? Like, maybe that changes. Maybe you get more engagement if Texas and OU are in the conference. But, like, I think that is more of, like, a cultural thing going on in California and the West Coast about not wanting to watch football games. I'm not sure that would have changed that much. That's really what killed the Pac.
I agree with you to an extent, but remember, you're going to have more Central Time Zone games. You're going to have
Sure.
Eastern Time Zone games, adding markets like Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. Colorado would join in. Now, the only one I don't see that was originally mentioned in there was Texas A&M joining the Pac as well, which I don't believe that would happen. I believe Texas A&M was always going to look east and join the SEC.
It's funny how you look back and, like, everything you're saying is absolutely true. And, like, the Pac-16 might be the juggernaut of all conferences. But then looking at my school, Utah never would get the call-up. If that
They
didn't
do.
happen. You still think Utah gets the call-up?
In my model, Utah gets the call-up simply because Texas A&M chooses to go east, and they're not going to take Baylor out of because of the religious, So
How many teams?
16.
No. You're talking about the Big Ten?
No, I'm talking about the Pac.
Oh, you're still
Pac
talking about the
Had
Pac.
went to 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. Anything then sitting on their hands would have been better. Bringing in BYU in the 80s would have been better. Bringing in Utah in the 90s and 2000s would have been better. There's a cascade of mistakes the Pac-12 did, and they're all done to themselves. So I don't have any pity for the Pac-12 at all. The Big Lubbock says, I can see Amazon doing a Big 12 channel. Something we haven't talked about a lot. I mean, we've talked sort of through all those negotiations for media dollars. Sure. Amazon or like Apple or, Roku, for heaven's sakes. You could get anybody to come in and do a channel for you. I think you'd take it, right?
Definitely. Yeah, Amazon would be a
Not
great partner.
not Roku. I got to have some standards, guys. You can't
Okay.
have Roku.
Hey, I like Roku. They're good to me. All right. That's a great comment, though, Big Lubbock. I agree with you. That would be cool if somebody came in and helped them out in that regard. Illini Ted says Oregon State also needs a conference to buy into the value over travel they will add. That point can't be overlooked.
100%.
Right on, Illini Ted.
Sooner in Texas. Good to see you, Sooner. The big mistake was the handshake agreement with the alliance. The alliance.
All right.
Yeah. All these are just getting the blood pressure going on you. I don't want to
Yeah,
keep it low today.
I lash out sometimes thinking about the alliance, and it's usually on Moan. It's not fair, so I'm not doing it.
Free pizza.
Doc Gibbs says, go Beavers and Cougars. We feel your pain. We support your fan bases. Doc Gibbs has got you covered in the Southeast, fellas. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate it. Conundrum says, can't wait to see the next Big 12 contract. I think on your guess, you were like 4% escalator, right? With your estimations for growth into the 30s.
You know what? I threw that in there just to be super, super conservative. I think that the growth is going to be more like 15%. Or
great.
These college football contracts have average growth of like around 30%.
Wow.
On like restructures.
Okay.
And then you're looking at a period of like 5 years, and you're just taking an average of the 5 years to look at the growth, right? That's the number you're looking at compared to the prior deal. But super conservative for the Big 12 deal. It's going to be more than 4.5%. So I would say that 15 to 20% bare minimum for college sports content, for the Big 12 content. So maybe more.
Moen, do you want to guess or?
No, I'm not going to take any educated guess on
Okay.
that because I don't know the composition yet.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We'll see. Time will tell. Dan Miter, one of our members, says, I wanted to pick on Ute about the Utah backpack, but I knew they weren't on the same level as Cal and Stanford. Go Big 12.
Go Big 12.
We'll take that. Go Big 12. That's good. Jan Hoke says, what about the have we done a Yukon poll? Oh, no, that's the one we just did.
We
right?
already did it.
Okay. All right. That was a mistake. I should have tagged it. Jay Chapman.
I kind of want to do a teaser, guys. You know what? Just like a one slider teaser.
Go ahead.
Keep talking.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. Keep talking. Let me pull it up. Get it up.
All right. Jay Chapman just says, how many summer homes will the buyouts pay for?
A lot.
I would think a lot. Hundreds of millions of dollars, at least a couple. Let's see here. Steve Moser says Pac-12 shot that 2021 merger idea down due to USC douchebaggery. It's a wonderful word. Hindsight is 2020. I would say hindsight's 10-10, frankly. But yeah, you're exactly right, Steve. You got it. Let's see here. Vernon Sheldon Witter says the president and AD of University of Utah made public statements denying that Utah's leaving the Big 12 for the ACC or any other conference. Yep, we covered it, Vernon. Thank you very much. Appreciate the reminder, though. Don't want to miss anything out there. Jan Holk again. If the Big 12 gets that 4 schools from the ACC, Power 3 conferences will be set. Top brands will be split between the Big and SEC from the ACC. You guys, we all agree on that, right? Jan, we agree with you.
Yep.
Yep, 100%.
We got you. All right, here we go.
All right, so here's one of the slides.
Oh my
Look at
gosh,
this, guys.
really?
Look at the football history. Like, hey, Syracuse, based on like their national championship, their Heisman winner.
Right.
Like looking at like just like the historics for Syracuse, they've been down for a long time, like since McNabb, right? But like this school is storied. But a lot. I mean, they have the same exact score as Utah, based on the history of the football program. We're not even looking at basketball with this, but this shows you that how UConn football is absolutely dreadful. Can you remove that comment just for a sec? We'll get to it in a second.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even know I hit it. Sorry.
Yeah, so the UConn shakes out in like the 18 of all the examined schools here, and you can see here just it's rough for UConn football. But I thought this was really amusing because like you look at this and you're like, oh gosh, like Syracuse is scoring out pretty good based on historical football. Not recently necessarily. Their television viewership kind of shows the recent issues with Syracuse football. But UConn football-wise, it's so bad. But then basketball-wise, it's like a completely different story, as we know. So it's just a conundrum. Seriously, it's like a 180 for a candidate. Like, you got to see this. This is wild stuff. Anyway, so just a little teaser there for y'all.
And these are all locked up in the next video that is going to be recorded soon. You don't have a date yet on that, though, Ute?
It's going to be after the timeline video.
Okay. All right.
Timeline's coming out on Friday.
So there you go. So early next week, I would look for that.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously tell everybody about it on Twitter and on YouTube, but look for those notifications. Definitely worth your time.
UConn's football is so bad, guys. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Like, I knew if UConn football was bad. But like we know that, but like looking at the data compared to other Big 12 schools, it's like so bad, like the worst.
You don't have to say anything else.
How do you hedge that? Like, I mean, like the basketball, so good. Like I'm still like racking my brain with a model actually spit out for an overall score for UConn.
The way you're breaking it down, if I'm an outsider, I've never heard you say a word. It sounds like you're describing a Big East school. Because there is the football. So aren't they just better in the Big East? Be good at what you do and don't worry about anything else? That's the part I can't get. Why pour hundreds of millions of dollars into a football program that at best will be middling?
At best. I mean, they're just like an instant loss in football.
Yeah, I don't understand what that would be for.
It's just to get in the Northeast. That's why you add UConn, because you're getting into New York, Boston. You're getting into Connecticut, and Hartfield and the Hartford markets, because they're connected to all those markets. Big DMAs. You want basketball in Madison Square Garden, you get UConn. That's why.
The Big Lubbock says Kansas used to be that bad in football.
Just wait till you see like the viewership KU compared to UConn. Just wait. It's
Blessed 808 says UConn with resources wasn't that bad in the Big East. At one point, they made it to the Fiesta Bowl.
yeah.
They got screwed playing independent schedule. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm just saying, the money that they currently have, you're winning national championships in basketball. Outside of being in a different, higher profile conference, why would I just can't see that move happening? I don't get it.
They are the most polar candidate you'll ever see for like a Big 12 expansion team because they are so elite in so many metrics and absolutely dreadful in others.
BU Patrick is in the house. Good to see you, Patrick. Been a minute. Says ESPN HQ is where? It's in Connecticut. So wow.
Bristol.
Is that enough though? We said that last summer, and that didn't seem to get any legs from anybody. We couldn't get anybody to say UConn. It was a bunch of talking heads talking about UConn.
I'm just gonna say it right here. UConn, take them seriously, guys. Like UConn needs to be taken seriously. Like don't just brush them off saying they're not a legit Big 12 candidate. They really are. They really are.
All right.
Despite the football stuff.
Your short video will show us, I promise. Justin R. says Big East football was better than the ACC in the 2000s. The only reason why the ACC is still around was due to the Big East turning down ESPN's TV offer in 2010. Boy, where have we heard that before? Right?
Time.
Yeah. It's like history.
Yes, but let's go ahead and remember the Big Ten also turned down an ESPN media offer and formed the Big Ten network with Fox, and it's the richest conference in history right now.
Okay.
So sometimes turning down ESPN is the right decision.
Yeah,
not all the time, but sometimes.
And I don't think we're talking about just turning them down flat. I think circumstances, context matters, but some choices were just poor, like Klyavkov a year and a half ago, just poor decision making. So that does happen where people just make horrible decisions. Anyway, let's see, boy, we're getting a lot of activity on this, guys. You guys want to keep talking about Big East basketball? That's hard for me to believe.
Oh man, okay.
I'm
not going to reveal anymore.
You got to sit on it.
You guys got to be so excited about this UConn Syracuse one that I can't reveal anymore. It's going to give it away. It's going to spoil it.
Then don't. All right. Let's see here. Illini Ted says UConn will never sacrifice basketball for football again, nor should they, in my opinion. Embrace being a basketball power. That would be my advice as well.
Absolutely.
Patrick says Syracuse is ancient history for football. That's true. Let's see here. Dan Miter says, did you guys catch the Fox, ESPN, CBS, NBC schedule pre-conference games? Might have to buy more TVs for so many great games.
Get you a YouTube TV. You can put 4 screens. It's fantastic. It's excellent for college football. You can get a free 30-day trial. Just putting it out there. Try it out for 30 days. See what you think.
It's like $700 after that, though.
No, it's like $70 a month.
It's pretty expensive.
That's pretty cheap, actually.
I'm just
compared to where my cable is.
Yeah, I'm teasing. Yeah, and have any of you guys looked at that all-in-one package they threw together? The Netflix, the Apple, what was the third one? Anyway, I didn't sign up for. Oh, Peacock was in that too. Those 3 signed up for $15. You could get those. I thought that was a pretty good deal. Netflix by itself now is almost $20. Sky, thank you for being here, Sky. Valuable member in the party. Lindsay Sports College football preview is out. Washington State and Oregon State are listed in the back with the independents.
Yeah, that's where
they don't have a conference. I mean, yeah, it's sad. Yeah,
you need 8 teams for a conference.
Yeah,
and they are Indy.
That just makes me sad thinking about that. Adam Ontiveros says, I agree with you. I think it's about 20% because the new schools was negotiated before 4 Pac schools were added, and bring up the valuation. That's a fact. That's been proven that the schools were paid more than the other 4 schools that came in. That it's just the way the contracts work. More money was on the front end of that. But yeah, either way, it's all even now. Everybody's paid the same. So let's see. Daniel Gygax says, this ACC rumor sound like Klyavkov's statement. We don't know if we are going to eat there. Shop there.
Shop there, yeah.
We shop there. We don't know if we're going to shopping there. That's very good. I appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you. Payson Cougar fan. By the way, we're almost all the way through the show. We got about 20-25 minutes for Q&A. If you guys want your question to get out, make sure it comes to us. It'll have to be a super chat. Other than that, we'll continue to grab ones that we think are interesting, and we'll put them up here. But super chats right now for probably the rest of the show are the ones we'll guarantee we read. Sorry, my eye is itching. Oh, wait, what was that? GoFundMe? Payson Cougar fan says, is there a GoFundMe account? We can donate money to help Utah move.
All right, so Bomber, so Payson Cougar fan. Okay, so what do BYU fans think about this? Would they have been okay, happy, sad if Utah left the ACC? And like theoretically.
In my opinion, anybody that said they would have been better off with them gone are too short-sighted. That's my opinion. And they're probably saying that just because of the rivalry. They want to see them float. And I just think that's stupid. They're much better together. More valuable.
Agreed.
So, but that's my opinion. That you can, Payson Cougar fan, you can think whatever you want. I did see a bunch on Twitter. Here, let me get the Beacons truck. We'll help you move. And saw a bunch of those. I don't support it. It's a funny jab, but I just don't think it's practical. Justin R says, didn't Yahoo report that Cal, Stanford, Utah, Arizona? Oh, did I already read this one? No, I didn't.
I don't think so.
Utah, Arizona State were in talks with the ACC the same day the Pac-12 announced the streaming deal. It's been a year. I would have to go back and look at the timeline. I can't remember.
It's real close timeline-wise, Justin. Yeah, Utah, Arizona State. We're talking with everybody. Like they were trying to. They're trying to talk with the Big Ten. I'm sure they've probably reached out to the SEC, the ACC, the PAC. I mean, like you had to cover your bases there and stuff. But when that streaming deal came out, and that Apple deal was like for $20-25 million a year with like escalators and stuff, that was the kiss of death. They weren't going to do that. So it was an immediate decision and a hard no on that one. So then they just fell back to the landing spots based on the due diligence they had. Big 12.
We'll have to follow up on that and see if I can track down exactly what happened when. Colorado broke the bank the week before. At the end of the Pac-12 day. Colorado went home and, announced the next day. So I don't know. Everything happened all at once there at the end. They were so chaotic. I wouldn't put stock in anything that came out at that time. Grayson Ganoush says the ACC just increased its revenue nearly $90 million, and it's about to get the full rate from all California and Texas subscribers. Okay.
Moan. Is that a Mohawk?
It's a Moen Hawk.
Moen Hawk. Look at that. What made you do that?
My friend.
Yeah,
I was watching Taxi Driver and decided to change.
Okay. No grabbing hammers and killing people, all right?
No, that's what I said. That's the only thing that inspired me.
Okay, all right, that's good. The ACC just increased its revenue. I'm not strictly sure that's exactly right. When they brought those schools in, for one, they came in at a much reduced share, much reduced share, and they're stealing from those schools to keep the other schools afloat. And ESPN was not at all happy to have SMU in there at all. ESPN, they basically took advantage of a hole in the contract that said, if they're an ESPN subscriber base, you have to pay us for them. But I guarantee you that wouldn't happen again. Any schools that came in after that, I guarantee they fixed that. They filled that hole. It wouldn't happen again.
So the argument to bring Utah into the ACC is to do a package like this, to add more subscribers because of the ACC network's affiliation with the state, basically getting the ACC network into that state. And it says if it's a new state footprint, that the understood language of the ACC contract was that you get basically a pro rata share. essentially kind of a pro rata share there. Okay. That's the idea there. So I do agree with Grayson's comment that the ACC did get paid more, but I think that you need to consider that there's more mouths to feed now too. And that you might have got paid more and stuff, but you've added 2 schools to the mix. You're underpaying both those schools for a period of time, but there's going to be a day of reckoning when they get full shares. And plus you're splitting the revenues, 14, 16 ways with the existing ACC members that aren't the new ads too. And so when you carve up 90 million, 15, 16 ways, it's not that much money. It's a couple million a year. And so 90 million looks big on the surface, but when you carve it so much, it's a lot smaller.
Moen, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think it's a little presumptuous to assume you're going to get every cable subscriber in California and Texas.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
You're going to get the Bay Area for Stanford and Cal, and you're going to get a little bit of Dallas Fort Worth for SMU. You're not grabbing the entire state there. You're not going to get. It's not going to push the ACC network to basic cable in Houston by having SMU in the conference. It's not going to push Los Angeles to adding the ACC network because Stanford and Cal are in the ACC.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. Something needs to change for the ACC to max out. ESPN's losing subscribers right now. So to say there's any growth with those areas, just because it's in an area that ESPN broadcasts doesn't mean you get top freight for each one of those subs. So anyway. We'll get to more comments here. BR says, it's okay. Utah can stay. They may wish they left after week 4.
In September, there will be punishment. BR 7062. Just wait. Blaine, just wait for September when Utah comes and rolls into T-Boone Pickens.
Oh, really?
Takes out the Pokes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Utes are going to be favored in that football game.
Okay.
Point. Throwing it down right now.
I don't know.
1 point favorite.
Maybe. All I know is your quarterback, does he have crutches at this point, or
Rising? No.
Maybe he's
he lost
taking
the crutches months ago.
Maybe he's taking Social Security. Maybe that's what he's going to be getting.
Maybe he's doing that, but he's definitely not on crutches.
All right. Let's see here. The Big Lubbock says, Brett Yormark did Utah favor by not having Utah play Texas Tech. Welcome to the conference, Utah. Texas Tech was tough too.
Texas Tech. Big Lubbock, this Ute fan blames Texas Tech fans for the demise of the Pac-12. It's these Texas Tech fans, these crazy, loyal Texas Tech fans that worked with Big 12 Karen to destroy the Pac-12. That's the theory. I'm going to stick with it.
You guys still getting your checks from her, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I got cut off.
Where's Big 12 Karen right now with the ACC stuff? I'm telling you guys, there was something going on there where there's so much dang momentum, over the pack. We need to bring that out and put it to the ACC. Where's Karen? Where is Big 12 Karen?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying, but
what do you mean?
I don't think it's not the conspiracy everybody thought it was. I tell you this though, you lost the PR war, whether that's because of Endeavor or Karen or anybody else. You guys were horrible at social media. You were horrible at messaging. The conference should have been shuttered just because of that, in my opinion. Ineptitude. Let's see here. Yeah, we already did a revenue one. I'm not going to do that again. B, again, reminds everybody, please remember to hit the like button. Thank you, B. Let's see here. Get down to some of these later ones. Sooner in Texas, y'all need to investigate Klavkov for Big 12 money transfers. He was that bad. Now that is a conspiracy I would go with.
I wouldn't. I don't think he's competent enough to do Big 12 money transfers.
Oh, well, maybe.
He would get the money and leave it on top of his car and pull away.
Okay. That's maybe true. I like that. It's good, Moen. Shonsky, how do you guys feel about TNT and ESPN doing all the CFP games, leaving Fox and everyone else out? I think that's huge for the Big 12 being ESPN driven. I was shocked that Fox didn't get any.
I like this TNT opportunity a lot. I think there could be growth there with the Big 12. There's opportunity too. TNT's losing NBA content. That was their bread and butter. What the heck are they going to do? They need live sports. Live sports is the only reason people subscribe to cable nowadays. So TNT and the Big 12, look for a partnership, honestly. You could totally see a partnership forming with TNT. So, hey, if you're Brett Yormark, you cozy up and get to know those TNT executives if you don't know them, because having games on TNT would be phenomenal for this conference going forward.
It would be cool to have TNT only Big 12 games. That would be neat.
Yeah, it would.
I think that'd be cool.
There's the Big 12 network, TNT, the Big 12 network.
Ooh, I like that. You got to call Yormark right now. That's a good one. Mullen.
Yeah, I'll reserve judgment till I actually hear the calls on see the video quality and hear the
Yeah.
calls on it, because
Yeah, I agree with you.
I remember when they had some pack games on TBS and it was not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Which surprises me that they were the player. Fox just didn't want to get into it because the price was too high.
Maybe
Somebody
Fox
needs to
is planning.
explain-
Maybe Fox is planning on spending a little more money on college football somewhere else,
Like what?
like expansion candidates.
Oh, geez. Here we go again. All right. You think they're going to go to 24?
Well, I think they're going to at least go to 20.
Well,
and
20 is a foregone conclusion at this
right.
point.
Well, you might need to come up with $150 million to make that happen.
Okay,
Annually.
that's fair. That's fair. I just don't think 24 is in the cards anytime soon. Problem is the money's drying up in media, right? Sports media money is drying up. You can't fight it. Devil Frog says Texas subscribers laughs. SMU isn't even a top 10 school in the Dallas Fort Worth market. How do they do that, Ute? So you have a Dallas, a town that has, I don't know what it is. Let's say it's 5 million people. And in that 5 million, in that area, the DMA, there are 6 universities, all tier 1, NCAA. They all compete at the same level for football. How do you determine if one guy is doing this and another watcher isn't doing that? How do they figure that out?
For a DMA size, they just base it on television households.
I'm talking about for value. When you're doing evaluation, all of Dallas Fort Worth, that's SMU is being counted as 5 million.
So
That doesn't make sense.
SMU, based on like the DMA numbers that Sports Watch Media has put out there,
Uh-huh.
would get the full $5 million share. But if you were looking at like carving that up to see how many folks would actually watch SMU football and market, that's a
Right.
different type of analysis. And that's going to be like, okay, you've got 5 million television households,
Oh,
but
okay.
only 20% watch SMU. So you just take 20% of the 5 million and like to get an estimate on it.
And
But
that's
really,
what I
like
was
this-
asking. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think that like a lot of these questions are going back with what John Skipper, the former ESPN president, mentioned about the ACC, though, because he mentioned in a podcast like 6 months to a year ago that there was language in the ACC ESPN media deal that if you added a new state to a footprint, you'd get pro rata. So it doesn't even matter about your market or size and stuff. There was language, a kicker in there that if you added a brand new state, that ESPN could get in there with the ACC network, that you would just generate that money automatically based on the language of the contract. So SMU is in Texas. That's all it needed to be. It didn't matter what school you could have grabbed, Rice or anybody else, and you would have got the Texas-based money. Does it make sense? And so you add 2 California schools.
it,
2 California schools. So you obviously, you got the California-based money, but you added 2 schools there too. So you added 2 states, new states to the footprint of the ACC network. And then you brought over that money and then carved it amongst the existing members and paid SMU and Cal Stanford a small portion of that. So that's basically how they got paid more, just based on the language of the ESPN contract. So again, if the reason Utah was a candidate is there's no Utah-based team in the ACC.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate you clearing that up. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have had that question. So, Rutgers, keep chopping. Good to have you here. Hopefully Charles Barkley won't be talking college football on TNT. I would love Charles Barkley to talk football. I'd pay to watch that guy do football. Could you imagine? He'd be like John Madden. Boom. He'd be making noises. He'd be fun to watch, man.
Was he Auburn? Barkley? Was he an Auburn?
He was
player?
Auburn. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's an SEC guy.
Yeah. Let's see here. Raider Vision. It's been a minute, Raider Vision, but you're still a member. Thank you for that. SMU does not draw any Texas viewers. Yeah, we were just talking about that. So I think it's just one of those things that if you're the company, you got to look for the thing that's most going to give you the most bottom line dollars. That's all you can really do at this point. Coy in the house. Good to have you here, Coy. Another valued member of the Mafia family says that at the College Football Mafia, GBR means Go Big Red. We already did that one. Why am I doing that again?
Go Big Red.
That's okay. I mean, it's great. I like to read it, but how about this one? Did we read this one? Okay.
Yep, you read that one.
There's
That
the
one I did
worst
on
Nebraska
purpose.
fan ever right there.
Yeah, I did that one on purpose. Let's see here. Clint Moses says Utah misses rubbing elbows with Stanford.
That's true. That's really true, actually, Clint. Just like Oregon State misses rubbing elbows with Stanford. The problem is Stanford, nobody can even go to their football games or their basketball games. No one gives a crap about sports at Stanford. So the academics are great, but academics don't drive realignment. And so it sucks not being affiliated with Stanford anymore, but they can't bring people to their football games or get viewership. That's why they're in the ACC and not in the Big Ten.
Moen, you want anything to that?
Pay Stanford $1 to join the Big Ten.
That could happen. Let's see here. Steve O. High Florida says TBS was broadcasting college football as early as 1982. Also bought rights to the Gator Bowl for a few years. I remember watching some of those Gator Bowls. They weren't bad. They're not Fox quality, certainly, but I mean, they were good broadcasts. Devil Frog said ACC should have grabbed Rice. At least they play baseball and could win natties.
Here's the sad truth. If they would have grabbed Rice and not SMU, it would have amounted to the same exact money for the ACC. Didn't matter who you grabbed. You just grabbed anybody. And SMU got the invite because they could fund everything, and all that money that came from their proration went to the existing members.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
That's
David Floyd says Texas TV market. UT number 1, A&M number 2, Tech number 3, Baylor number 4, OU shouldn't be on there. Oh, he's saying even OU would go into the Dallas market. Okay. Arkansas goes into Dallas market. TCU, LSU, Houston, and SMU's last. So they're 10th, according to David.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, yeah. Space Ghost says Utah going back to the Pac-2. I don't think so.
Not gonna happen. We do love our Oregon State Beaver buds, though. Shout
out. Mr. Monkey says I think Utah used to rub more than their elbow on Stanford.
Come on.
Wow. Okay, that's a deep cut right there. There you go, Mo, and this one's for you.
Mosito X. Listening to the Mafia on my nightly run.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm still trying to do that podcast thing. I gotta actually get on that. That's my bad. But I appreciate you listening. We really like having you on every night.
You gonna jump on the Rutgers podcast, Palmer?
No, our podcast, taking our shows and making them podcasts.
Absolutely.
I just have to do it. I've been so busy. Everybody, so you know, all three of us have actual jobs. So us doing this is, putting in tens of hours every day is pretty difficult. So we do the best we can, but certainly it's not from a lack of effort. Let's see here. Sky says the day will come when FSU, Clemson, Miami, etc. leave the ACC. The ACC value is worthless, and Stanford, Cal, SMU receive full shares. Not much to look forward to there.
100%.
Very good. I like that.
Cal, SMU, and Stanford are probably going to go with their tail between their legs back to Oregon State and Wazoo and ask to get in the Pac-2.
Could you imagine?
That's still totally in the cards.
I would love to
be in
that room. I would love that.
What? Seriously, what's the point of keeping the ACC around if the money is not there? Why don't you just dissolve the conference with the majority vote? Stanford and Cal, why don't you just make the decision to vote against dissolve the conference? Like, you're cross country. If you lose Clemson and Florida State, what's the point of being in the ACC anymore? There's not much of a point. It'd be better for them just to dissolve the dang thing. They might end up doing it. SMU's probably a lifer over there, but like Cal and Stanford, doubt it.
They have till August 2nd to decide if they want out. So we'll have to see. Line Ted says the reruns of Dallas has better numbers in Dallas Fort Worth than the SMU. Reruns of Dallas. My gosh. Oh my heavens. Sky says best guess for the viewership numbers for SMU and Cal. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We've gotten to the bottom of the barrel, and it's all SMU jokes.
Oh man.
Moen, give us a sounder for do we have the dun 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 dun? Do we have that one? Anyway, let's see. Got a couple more. If you find a good sounder, just do it. Don't wait for me.
Tell them to bring me my money.
There you go.
ACC, SMU.
There we go. I love that. Bring me my money. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up right there. We had a great night. Appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And consider becoming a member of the College Football Mafia Network family. Ute, final words. Anything you want to get out?
The ACC's last-ditch effort failed. Utah's not going anywhere. We're staying home in the Big 12. Utah's happy in the Big 12. Let's grow this conference, and let's become stronger, and let's eat up the ACC.
Very good. Moen.
Pay Stanford $1. Give them entry to the Big Ten, but pay
$1.
$1.
$1. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Again, our Wednesday shows are always sort of off the cuff. We'll find out if we have enough news to break to have that show tomorrow night. Otherwise, we will see you Friday night for our next big freaking Friday show. And we'll definitely have news for that show. And hopefully we have some more fun. That's the most important thing that we do on those Friday shows. Moen, what do you want to say about that one in particular?
I like to drink on Fridays.
Makes it more entertaining. He's
does.
not driving, so don't worry about it. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it. You guys have a great night. Stay out of trouble. Follow us on the news tomorrow on Twitter, and then we'll see you soon. I don't know. Other than that, we'll see you later. Bye-bye. Peace.